always get these emails from people who are trying to track down old games. And the emails always start the same way. Maybe the game had star in the title, or there was a superhero in the back glass, or the cabinet was red, or it's always this hazy memory and just a bunch of vague details kind of strung together. And I do what I can to help these people find whatever game they're looking for. And over time, I've realized that it doesn't really matter what game they're looking for. The end of the email is always the same. There's always a story about how much this game meant to them, how excited they were to play it as kids, and how they remember it, and how much it impacted them. And I think, more than anything, that sense of longing or anticipation is what defines us as gamers. It doesn't matter if you experience the arcade phenomenon of the 70s and 80s and 90s, or if you found it on your own, at home, playing Zelda, or going down to the laundromat to play Stern's new Star Trek. Every one of us has experienced that feeling of either wanting to play something that was 30 or 40 years old, or really anticipating and wanting the next AAA title to come out to be everything you hope it can be, because you know that it's going to help define a little bit of who you are. The Professional and Amateur Pinball Association is built of a small group of staff and dedicated volunteers, and we travel the country helping put on pinball tournaments and gaming events. And it doesn't matter where we go, we always meet a wide range of people, of gamers, and we always get to hear these fascinating stories. I can't really tell you what exactly the Papa TV Roadshow is going to be about, because I don't know who all we're going to meet as we travel the country. And I don't know what stories we're going to help people relive. But I do know that I want to capture as many of these stories as I can and bring them to you. And we're going to sprinkle a few other oddities in there if we can, but really what I want to do is try and capture the essence of what brings us all together and makes us unique as gamers. Welcome to the first ever Papa TV Roadshow. Standing in front of a Led Zeppelin pinball machine, this is not something that I've ever seen before.
It's not complete yet, but I'm hoping.
Anytime you enter on a project like this, usually it takes a little while and goes through a lot of different iterations.
Yeah.
Where are we at with the project right now, and what's your goal for this?
I don't know. Years ago, I was thinking it would be fun to retheme one. I just never imagined actually being able to do it.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to friends, and they were all into it, so they were willing to help. And I said, all right, well, let's do it.
Can we talk about some of the specifics? I see you already have beautiful translite done. When was this done, and how did you go about this process?
My friend in Longmont works in a sign shop. He is good with Photoshop, so I gave him a couple of photos of The Song Remains the Same poster. He made it happen. We put a mirror foil on the translite and got a mirror effect anyway. We've got a preliminary modified ROMs for it that we haven't tested yet. So I've got the playfield installed. waiting to get.
You're actually doing custom ROMs
Custom
as
ROMs,
well.
yeah.
And this, what all is the new ROM set going to include? Are you changing rules?
We're
Are you
changing the rules
sounds?
a little bit. Yeah, we're changing the sounds. We're changing. We're gonna play Led Zeppelin on chimes. I hope. I picked this up cheap back in New York from my friend. It was all worn out. It was one of those games that you thought maybe was going to be headed for a dumpster because it was so bad. The playfield was worn to wood, and then CPR came out with reproduction, and I got a stencil kit, and 100 and 150 hours, and you got yourself a new game.
Not only is this a couple with great pinball interest, but also with great taste in movies.
First game was another Atari, older.
Oh yeah, that's the one with like the double-sided kind of goofy
Yeah, it's
flippers.
got the goofy flippers, and it wasn't very much fun. It was mint. It was perfect.
I was going to use
$300,
that.
but
I was going to use
it
that in the
wasn't
Papa
much
A
fun.
Bank.
Yeah.
People would go crazy.
oh yeah, there you go.
Well, we'll have that and Dragon
Yeah,
side by
yeah.
side.
Oh yeah,
People will be
oh
thrilled.
yeah. Totan too. No, Totem. The
Totem.
Gottlieb Totem is like that too with the offset flippers. It's just funky.
Yeah.
Where'd you pick up a Middle Earth? That seems like a weird game to start with.
It was my friend Steve Keeler, a rock fantasy guy. He had it on the patio for the summer and didn't have a place to store it for the winter, so I just got to get rid of it.
They're like,
Yeah,
I'll
want a game?
store it for you.
Want a
Wanna buy a
game,
game?
and then 30 games later.
Exactly.
Yeah. Where did you go after Middle Earth? After, it seems like an odd starting point.
Oh
What
well, I
happened
mean,
there?
it was just whatever. That was what was there. So
Yeah.
After Middle Earth, I decided, well, this isn't really that fun of a game. I learned how to shop it because I cleaned it and rubbered it and figured out how to make the flippers work better and stuff like that. But I knew nothing. So I'm like, well, let me get something different. And I always loved Haunted House. Haunted House was one that got me.
So you went
Go.
Yeah, that one's a really fun one to shop.
You went from a Middle Earth to a haunted house. So you
Haunted
didn't-
House was the one that I wanted to get, and everybody said, no, don't buy that.
Okay, I was gonna say, you didn't
I was
buy
like, that's
that.
pretty rough.
You didn't make it any easier on
No.
yourself. How do you go from just wanting a haunted house to having this?
This, yeah.
When did the switch get
It's a
flipped?
disease. My friend Steve was running tournaments back in New York, and we'd go round robin to other collectors' houses also. So we'd play at his store and at his house, but then we'd also go to a couple of other guys' houses too. And then I had a few, and I wanted a couple more, so we could go to my house too. And I started looking for games that nobody else had in their collections because I wanted to be different in my house.
Yeah.
That's what got me started on looking for the kind of more unique games.
Building Papa's studio booth today. Papa TV needs a home in our facility for us to broadcast. Right now we just have this wonderful purple wall. We're going to turn this into something awesome. Hopefully. This guy's going to turn it into something awesome. I'm going to watch and hurt my back.
as I said, the worst part's going to be putting the concrete anchors into the floor. And then once those are up and we get the frame nice and level, the deck boards will go on so fast you won't believe it.
Everybody seems excited about this. So, got people walking around with streamers, and maybe we have some pom-poms. Everybody's wearing T-shirts and stuff. So,
it looks like there's going to be a lot of support on both sides of the competition here tonight.
So when I bought the Wiggler, I bought this at the Texas Pinball Festival. Some guy had a trailer load of VMs, and I had been looking for this game for years. $250, and it was repainted with somebody's custom artwork, and the playfield was totally horrendously worn.
Are these zipper flippers here?
It's a zipper flipper game, yeah, multi-ball zipper flipper game. And but I really had wanted this game for a long time, and it didn't matter what the condition was, I still wanted it. And I brought it home, and I looked at it for 3 months going, what am I going to do with it?
I've been there before.
So I learned how to, I bought an airbrush, Terry got me an airbrush, and I learned how to airbrush and restore the playfield, so.
I have to say that any game that has a Wiggle Jet super bonus is a game that I'm going to like.
Oh yeah, and when you got to shoot it through Wigglesville. You know,
Now we're talking.
This is my favorite game in my collection. I found this for sale on Mr. Pinball Classifieds, and it was in France. I wasn't going to try to bring it back from France, but my wife, she said, well, you're never going to find one here, so you might as well try. And 2 different multi-balls, really cool ball-safe flippers. Gottlieb was famous for making you switch your flipper buttons till you do something else. And
I know a lot of the older games had that manual kickback. You know, you have
kickback,
I know Devil's There did it. Gottlieb was, Volcano. I like that. I wish they would bring that back.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of extra skill. You know, you got to hit it right at the right time,
Yeah.
and whenever you screw up, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that way, whenever I'm running tournaments and the kickback doesn't work on players, I can just say, "Well, you blew it. It's your fault. It's not my fault." So yeah.
Yeah.
They need to bring that back.
Yep.
Just a few minutes there.
design, Saudi Arabian Nights, John Papadouk design. Another Brian Eddy here with Attack Mars, that one's a winner. Stern Berserk, can't wait to put quarters into that. Comet, Python Angelo design, fantastic designer. And here's Tron, everyone knows Tron. George Gomez worked on this game here, another famous pinball designer. There's so many games to pick. Standing here with Bowen Cairns. Many of you know him from the Papa tutorials. We are in Santa Clara, California at California Extreme 2013. Bowen's the tournament director for this particular circuit event. Bowen, what's going on right now during the setup?
Well, we got the setup going here. We got 9 games getting set up for the Open and 6 games setting up for the Classics. And this will be a format that was used in Louisville back in March, where players get to choose a limited number of the games they want to play on, and only their best 5 will count for the Open, and only their best 4 will count for the Classics.
So where did these games come from? Did you just pick them on your back and like carry them down the highway?
I carried them all, man. Actually, they come from the collections of locals, and by locals can mean as much as 400 miles away from Los Angeles. So a lot of games here from the collections of Brent Stoddard and Jim Belcito, but also Mike Hafner and Tim Hansen and several other locals. Some of the classics here are all provided by the Pacific Pinball Museum with Michael Scheiss, Johnny Olkowski, and TJ Beyer providing support to bring them here.
So how many players are you expecting to this weekend?
We're going to get 2,000 players this weekend. We're going to get them all through, and we'll make a mint. I don't know. We've had over 100 players here the last few years. So I actually think that with the location inside the hall here, we're going to get more players than we usually will. People just coming by, say, looking over and going, "Hey, what's going on in the back here?" We're going to have the tournament cameras from the Elwins up here as well, so people will be able to see, perhaps even projected on the walls here during the event, good pinball play and as people qualify.
It's going to be exciting. So in addition to the pinball tournament, what else is going on in this room? Because it's loud, there's a lot of games, and it seems pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, if you want to play a WWF Royal Rumble, or Raven, or Punchy the Clown, or a Dracula with 1.5-inch flippers, or Cyberball 2072, or Magical Truck Adventure, or Billy Bowl, or Panic Park, CalExtreme, this will be the largest ever CalExtreme with approaching 600 pinball and arcade games in the same hall at the same time. One entry gets you unlimited play on these all day, Saturday, all day, Sunday. This place draws somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 people out here to play the game. So
it's pretty incredible.
It's like the greatest arcade ever, but only for one weekend a year.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't believe people managed to bring this mass of games into this one room just for like 3 days.
Yeah, and the setup's been going on since yesterday morning, 8 a.m., all day Thursday. We are all day Friday. There's got to be about 400 games in right now. More games coming as I speak, and more games will even be here tomorrow morning. This place will be packed and jamming.
You know, the thing that amazes me the most is it's not just 50 Donkey Kongs. Right now, from where I'm standing, I'm looking at a Star Castle, I'm looking at a Space War, and a Magical Truck Adventure. I have no idea what that game
Magical
is.
Truck Adventure is f***ing awesome. One of the best things is the locals who organize this event, Ken Chaney, TJ Beyer, they bring a large number of games of their own, but they also connect with locals. And everyone says, this is what I've got at home, what should I bring? So that they can maximize the variety of the games that show up. So yeah, there won't be 50 Donkey Kongs unless there's going to be a Kong off.
Right.
But there's 5 Robotrons because there's going to be a Robotron tournament. But everything that shows up is unique. You turn around a corner, and the layout is even like the layout of old arcades, where it kind of snakes around corners, and there's almost a deliberate effect of wanting people to get lost while they're in here.
And it happens.
As they turn a corner, they're like, oh my God, it's that game. And there are some old stuff here, early 70s. So we've had a computer space, an original Pong, and it's
really impressive.
Cabinet. All the way up to just the brand new stuff. There's like a 4-player Pac-Man Battle Royale on a 50-inch monitor. We got a Metallica LE, we got an AC/DC here.
So in addition to just being able to come in and play games. What are some of the other events that are going on in addition to this pinball tournament here this weekend?
There are some speakers as well. Gary Stern is here. I believe you're going to be on a match game panel.
Looking forward to it.
And there's also been for the last few years a set of concerts for bands that do chip tunes and 8-bit, 16-bit inspired stuff. Like 8-Bit Weapon is the most famous and well-known of the bands that's performing tomorrow night. But it's just a celebration of all things arcade. They dim the lights down here. They got 80s music blaring. They've got projected. There's been a wall projection of Dragon's Lair year after year, and it's mesmerizing. You look over and you're like, somebody's playing some part of the game you've never seen before.
No one's ever made it past the bridge. You can't get past that.
Absolutely, it's just a great time.
So when's the next tutorial coming up?
Isn't that your responsibility?
Thanks for talking to us, Bone. Looking forward to it.
All right, it's gonna be a good weekend.
This is Doug from Papa. Today we're going to talk about leveling your games. One of the more important things when you're playing pinball is to have a game that is level. You go to a lot of collectors' houses and they have beautiful machines that blind you with the LEDs, but unfortunately when you play them, they're not level. The first thing I want to talk about when leveling your games is the type of leg leveler that you use. There are two types available out there right now. The first one has a stamped bottom. This is your nice stamped leg leveler, which stays nice and flat. This is the one I prefer because it tends to hold its shape a little bit better. The second type of leg leveler you can buy out here, these ones are usually a little bit cheaper. They'll have a flat bottom. This is your bad leg leveler with your dome top. The problem with these is as the machine weighs on them over time, the bolt will push down on this and you actually get a little point on the end of the leg leveler, which ends up causing your game to not be level and slide around the floor a little bit easier. So you'll see on this leg here, the jam nut is actually on the correct side of the leg. It's up against the bottom of the leg. On some games you'll see it up top. That's incorrect if you see a game set up like that. It should always be against the bottom because the weight of the machine will keep the nut in place and keep your game level. So when leveling a game, usually what you want to do is you want to find either a row of inserts or some kind of straight line on the artwork to level with. So once you find that, you'll line your level up with that. In this case, I'm using the bottom of the window here. It's pretty much equidistant all the way across, and you'll actually see that our level is at 0.0, which is as good as you're going to get. Generally, when I'm leveling games at home, I'll use a tolerance on these of 0.2. That's 0.2 of a degree that it's off, and nobody will notice if it's off by that much. But you also want to level it somewhere else on the playfield as well, because sometimes on older games, the cabinets will actually get twisted or warped from age. So while what may be level up here won't be level near the top of the playfield. Now, sometimes it's hard to level at the top of the playfield because there tends to be more stuff up here. So for example, on this Genesis, we have pop bumpers, we have ramps. There's really no place where we could put a level on the top end of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to level from the top of the window now. So once again, I'm going to use the artwork or the window and line up my level against it. Another technique you can use once you have the game leveled with an actual level is you can use the eye test using a ball. So basically how to do that is you just want to pick an area of the playfield and roll the ball straight down it and see how it looks. Do it 2 or 3 times. Make sure you're dropping it straight down the middle just to see if it's rolling in a straight line.
Do you run into many people that have an airborne Iron Maiden named Gamatron? It seems like you did a pretty good job of kind of spreading out to areas most people don't go.
Yeah, and it's all opportunity and whatnot too. You know, what is available, what do you find available, and do you have the funds to pull the trigger and get it? You know, at that point.
Funds are one thing, but there's so many games that are entertaining that really don't cost much that people just kind of overlook. I mean, there's a whole huge era of some of those early games that are a blast to play. I mean, at Papa, I don't know how many times, there's 450 games, and I'm like, all right, well, I can basically play anything I want, and I'm walking out the door, and it's like, damn it, I want to go play Evel Knievel.
Exactly, Evel's awesome.
Yeah.
We went to the Allentown show, and I bought a Project Stern Lightning. that the guy told me worked. And when I got it home, not even the GI worked.
Yeah. Show special then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must have got messed up in
Yeah,
transit,
well,
right?
you know,
Yeah.
there's a learning curve, you know.
Yeah.
And he had a friend, oh, you like pinball machines? They didn't know we like pinball, but they were like, my uncle used to be an operator, and there's an old game in my aunt's basement. She just wants it out. Come get it. So I went and drug it out of the basement for free. It was a Stern Dracula, which was a cool game.
Yeah, that's Stern Dracula is the one. It's got that like kind of hidden upper flipper
Yeah,
on
it's
the
got that
left,
third
and then it's
flipper.
got the 3 skull pop bumpers.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I remember that.
Real cool game.
Is that 79?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that didn't work, of course, either. But you know, it was free.
Yeah.
So I
I'll take
learned
it.
a little bit more with that one. I think eventually I just said, oh, the heck with all this old stuff, and I sold it. And that's when I bought the haunted house, unworking.
Oh, jeez.
You took the hard
All
road.
right.
didn't you?
Well, I couldn't afford the really
Right,
you know,
yeah,
good
yeah.
chopped out games. Some
I
of
hear
those
you.
guys can, they go out and they spend a lot of money and buy
Mhm.
something that's all nice and restored, but I couldn't do that. So
It's nice to see a game come back to life too. You know, it's nice to take what is essentially a big pile of parts and turn it into a fully functioning. It's
it's really fun.
There's
To me,
only-
that's
there's only so many haunted houses left, you know, and it's like whenever you take one that's not working and turn it into something that people can play and enjoy, it's all right. I gave back something, you know, I did
Mhm.
something for the hobby.
and I love doing that. I love buying that crappy thing that, unless somebody gives it some love, it's going to be parts.
Yeah.
I don't take it too
Yeah.
seriously. I could
Yeah.
probably play better if I took it a little more seriously, but I go down and I have a beer next door and go over and
Yeah, I
have
think
fun.
it's more fun to do it. Well, at
You-
least for me personally, it's more fun to do it that way than to have it be like pressure packed.
Yeah. I
have
see
to
I
play
see
well,
guys
you
that
know,
are very
that kind of thing.
very put a lot of pressure on
Mhm.
themselves
It's
doing this
intense.
stuff, and they're
It's
very
really
intense.
intense.
And that's cool that they like to do that.
Yeah.
And there's got to be somebody that does do that.
Mhm.
I just don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to know the rules as good as those guys make it either. Because I mean, those guys know the rules so well that fuck, it wouldn't be any.
There's
more
nothing to
fun.
discover.
It would be
Yeah.
fun to be in.
The passion for restoring games and the dedication and the time that you're putting into it and the understanding from your lovely wife. Thank you very much for allowing this to happen. Is appreciated by the pinball community for sure, because as we talked about before, there's only so many Warlocks, there's only so many Elviras, there's only so many Atlantis.
Yeah.
And whenever one of them goes by the wayside and is just left in a barn forever and rots away, it's
There's
gone.
one less,
You're not, there's one less. And the fact that you're putting in the effort and taking the time to redo these brings a little bit of joy to people in the future because they get to play something that they otherwise wouldn't.
Yeah,
So,
it gives it a new life for at least another generation anyway. Or if somebody else will use it.
well, thank you. Thank you very much for your time, and
Yeah.
thank you for letting us visit your arcade. This is a pretty amazing place.
Thanks.